Good afternoon, free enterprise fans, and welcome to tonight's race. This is going to be an exciting matchup between zilch6 and Starman. I am Baka Shinobi, and I am joined by Smapety. How are you doing this evening, Smapety?
Doing just fine. Very fine Lali-Ho to you, Baka, and everybody in chat. Really excited about this. We've got ourselves a Porum start. That is not a lot of damage, so depending on who is going to be accompanying our white mage here, we might see some very early creative plays in order to get past some of these early bosses. So I'm very excited to see our runners digging deep in the ingenuity pile.
Agreed. Porum is... She's not damaged, she's pretty low HP. The best thing I can say about her is at level 18 she'll learn Berserk to make someone else very good at fighting, but Porum is not going to be a great source of damage unless you find something like a Heroine Robe or a Power Staff. Elven Bow and some decent arrows might be able to squeak you through, but you are really going to be looking to your second character and any other character around to do damage for a while.
Yeah, right you are. Porum is a character that's kind of grown on me, though, over the years. She kind of had this reputation as just being the inferior Rosa, but there, like you mentioned, early access to that Berserk spell is a really nice perk for Porum, especially in the mid-game. And Porum will naturally learn the exit spell, so if we don't have a Tella available, we don't have a Paladin Cecil, we don't have a Fusoya or something like that, Porum being able to get that exit spell can also be very useful at saving some time. Maybe allow you to get a few extra checks, since we do have that Wildish flag on. Get some additional treasure, get out fast. So that definitely is a point in her favor as well.
Agree. That exit spell is very helpful for getting out of places like Cave Magnus, which we're required to go to because it's one of our 3 static objectives. Walking out of there is pretty miserable, so being able to exit, always good to have. So a reliable source of exit. Maybe you keep Porum around longer than you'd reasonably keep her.
Yeah, right you are. We also have getting Fusoya as one of our random objectives here. Remember, our runners have to complete 4 out of these 5 objectives. The first 3 are the same for every race here in the Lali-Ho League. The last 2 are the ones that are randomized. Boss Hunt in Pale Dim is going to be maybe a bit of a pain point. Those boss hunts can be a little tricky, but knowing that there is an old mop in the seed somewhere is definitely exciting for the runners. Fusoya represents a lot of potential power and just a massive ability to get out of jams pretty easily if they can find him early.
Agreed, because with that distinct 10, there is a chance that Fusoya wouldn't show up normally, but because he's an objective, he is guaranteed to appear. And because there are 10 distinct characters, there's going to be 3 duplicate characters that you can go and find, so maybe there's multiple Fusoyas that we can go and find in different locations, and our runners will be able to go and steal him without having to go the same path. Or maybe we'll never see him because Fusoya is buried in the depths of the giant.
Yeah, there has not been a lot of giant play over this week that we've been watching, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One of the reasons is we have that new flag in that makes committing to the giant an actual commitment. There is no longer an exit out of the giant. If you go in, the only way out is to load an earlier save or to complete the giant in its entirety, and that has sort of limited the attractiveness of that D Machine grind that we saw so often in previous leagues.
Which I imagine people can guess as to why it's so limited now. But we are starting, and we get to see who our second character. It is a Rosa. Double White Mage start with the Dark Imps going in, giving us the Rat Tail and our set of supplies. So not really getting much on the damage front. Rosa is a better archer than Porum, but still has a similar equip palette.
Yeah, and this is the point where both the White Mage is going to be looking at each other and arguing over who's going to have to switch to Scholar.
Who needs to argue with it? Scholar is the superior healer.
I tend to agree with you there.
But
the meta might not, but I agree.
the meta changes. Give it time. Give it time. But any undead bosses might go and take some extra damage because those cure spells will be able to be offense, but otherwise, I think our runners are going to do a bit of looting, trying to find some form of offense for the team.
Yeah, Divergence right out of the gate. Zilch going immediately over to Evelyn Castle. Very gutsy play. I like this. There's a lot of potential loot to be had here. Meanwhile, Starman going directly into Baron, finding a twin there available in Baron Inn.
Guarded by one form of Mylon or another, so first fight could be pretty quick. The second fight is the scary one because it has a higher physical attack power, 4,000 HP, that your 2 white mages are not going to be able to go and get through very quickly. And you'll probably be struggling to go through that fight. But if you can get through it, that Palom is a great find for this low damage team.
That is a really nice shop there in Baron. We've got life potions, which obviously our runners are going to want to grab, selling some of those rune rings that we start off with in order to afford that. Also available, silk webs. You're always going to want to have at least one of those in supply for when you go up against Aromas. You can also help against some bosses that can be particularly crippled by slowing. And very, very nice to find that Sylph spell as well. If we find Rydia early, that can be a significant source of not only damage but healing for the team.
Yeah, that Sylph spell is equivalent to Virus's damage. It is a longer animation, but a level 6 or 7 Rydia casting it, yeah, you're more than happy to go and keep that around. And meanwhile, we see Zilch has found 2 of the 3 trap chests in Eblan Castle, and thus losing a bit of time having to reset, but finds a Heroine Robe. That is a pickup.
Yeah, that is huge. Heroine Robe is one of the more interesting items in the game. Basically transforms any of the 3 women in the game that are normally spellcasters into frontline melee fighters, gives them a ton of defense, ton of agility, and early on when you're really hurting for damage with this 2 white mage setup, that can be huge for getting that damage that you need.
Yes, and with the Neki flag on, which goes and takes all of the starting equipment off from our characters in the game, that gives them a random starting weapon. That's nice to go and just have some armor. Zilch unfortunately finding the last trap chest in the middle tower, and the last chest in the middle tower he checked, so we'll see if he bothers going back there or if he just goes to the left tower and clears that out, because I don't know if there's anything amazing. Yes, there was something specific he wanted to keep in there, so while he is looting this, Starman is going and unmooring the hovercraft at Damsian, checking the boss in the waterfall, and is going to be going and checking probably Antlion Cave or Mount Hobbs for another character.
Yeah, that moon veil that Zilch found in that chest there could be huge as far as getting past some early stumbling block here. Moon veil, of course, acts like a star veil, gives you reflect on the character you use it on, but it also gives them a permanent blink status as well. Any boss that relies entirely on physical damage, and there are a lot of bosses that do, can essentially be entirely neutralized with that moon veil. So that could be big towards making some progress early on when you've got very low damage here. Wow, that's another Heroine Robe for Starman. So they're on equal footing as far as that goes. That's big.
That's a bit bad for Zilch, because Zilch spent a fair amount of time going through this whole place. The Heroine Robe was one of the biggest things he found here, and Starman having that is a bit of a disadvantage for Zilch, though Zilch did get a stack of Artemis arrows, which would be very huge if you find a good bow to use it with. And Rosa starts with a power staff. Not the worst weapon, is a very high accuracy weapon, which is very helpful for your characters early on.
And there's another power staff on Porum as well, so the ladies came ready to fight here with their staves.
The ladies were definitely not taken by surprise by the potential man of need to go and get their hands dirty. They're ready for it.
The Power Staff also has a unique effect where it has a chance to proc the Berserk spell on your target. So, especially with that Heroine Robe equipped, we might see trying to get some cheeky Berserks out of the characters. Won't take much damage from the attack because of that Heroine Robe's amazing defense, and then you'll be able to get the massive attack power benefit of Berserk as well.
Well, there is one small problem, though. We don't have a bow, so we can't back row glitch our characters, so they're going to be in the front line.
Yep, finding Eddie there on Mount Hobbs, that does not solve our damage problems whatsoever. And Zilch is just going to reset out of that and look elsewhere for progression here.
If we had a Dancing Dagger, I'd probably be more inclined to take that Edward for a spin, but without that, yeah, he's... The Heroine Robe can be worn by the ladies. Edward, unfortunately, gets no piece of gear that dramatically improves his stat, so it's going to have to hope that he hits sometimes. So walking away from him seems reasonable.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on the Dancing Dagger, though. That would make Edward way more attractive. But, oh gosh, that's Baigen in Antlion. Not a fun fight. Only 1,000 HP split among them, so with that Power Staff, might be able to get through this. But let's see how much he's going to be hitting for.
There is the advantage that Rosa is mighty fast with that Heroine Robe on, having received plus 15 agility, considering many characters such as Porum start with 7 or 8 agility. You're about twice, well, 3 times as fast as the game expects you to be at this point, so you're going to be able to get a lot of turns off compared to bosses to bet.
Yeah, right you are. This is why if you get, say, like an early edge, sticking him in the middle is to a huge benefit for you. And yeah, taking advantage of that speed, able to easily get through that Bygone fight. And Zilch is going to have our first key item check here.
But Starman's not too far behind. And Magma Key, that's a nice pickup.
Yeah, that with Wildish on, that says to me, head underground now and start treasure hunting, seeing if you can find something, maybe a high-level bow or something like that's just going to open up so many treasure checks now.
Yeah, and it might be worth it to go and check some shops because gated shops can have better equipment or better items. That's a nice bow for Rosa with those Artemis arrows could be very helpful. Get up to level 18 and you are just going to fly through this content.
Yes, this is making for a very interesting start, very non-standard, but like we mentioned, there's some power to be had here, but you got to kind of look for it. And there's an Asura spell, another spell that would make Rydia very, very nice to have.
That said, do you need Asura when you already have 2 white mages?
That's true. We're not exactly hurting for healing right now, but when you're in that kind of limbo area where you're in the mid game, but you still only have Cure 2 to rely on for multi-target healing, that's where Asura can kind of step up to the plate and help you against like bosses that have really nasty multi-target attacks.
Yeah, that is. Or if you need to go and throw up some walls, Asura can go and pierce those walls and give some very reliable, unreliable healing. 2/3 of the time, she'll go and heal every time.
2/3 of the time, it works every time.
I accept Porum as a white mage, Asuka, because that is pretty much the only thing she can do. She can cast healing spells, she can cast Berserk, eventually she can cast Cure 4 if you give her some obscene amount of experience. Unfortunately, the big problem I have with Porum is the fact that she's really bad at surviving big bangs.
Yeah, very low HP growth means that things get a little dicey when you bring Porum to the end game. Rosa's going to be a little stronger in that regard, being at the levels that you normally go into the Zeromus fight. Rosa's going to have a reliable HP pool that can survive those big bangs. Porum is going to need a little bit of help, and Zilch going in and checking Dwarf Castle boss. That looked like Dark Imps, if I don't.
I believe that is actually Elements, because we saw the red robe in Baron Castle. So if there's a red robe in Dwarf Castle, Mylon goes and changes to a red robe as he is the fourth sprite.
Good point.
Ooh, Elven Bow and Samurai Arrows here. If you want to save for those Artemis Arrows for one reason or another, here's the place to do it, but you need to sell some stuff.
Yeah, that's very, very nice there. Elven Bow gives you... not only gives you a little bit of a wisdom boost, which isn't going to be terribly useful if you're going to have that heroine robe, which is going to be killing your magic anyway. Oh, there's a free self spell for Starman if Rydia pops up. But yeah, also giving you some nice type advantages against certain monsters. So yeah, Elven Bow, very solid though.
Yes, the Elven Bow by itself going and hitting the mage weakness, also finding Sirens, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Zilch go and just shoot some experience into this party by shooting some dragon eggs with those Artemis arrows.
Yeah, that would be a solid use of them. Those Artemis arrows giving you that bonus damage, and gosh, yeah, a quick infusion of XP might be exactly what this low damage party needs in order to get going here, and it looks like that's what he's going for.
Meanwhile, in Feymarch, Starman found a coffin in there, so that would be nice to go and start a first grind, but the Artemis arrows are going to go and do the work just fine and dandy for a bit. Zilch going in before equipping Rosa with the Artemis arrows and the Elven Bow, letting Porum take a swing with it so that we can set the back row glitch, which, as I mentioned previously, when you equip a character with a long-range weapon, the game forgets that it can actually go off. So if you've equipped once ever, words are hard, you can permanently be back row glitched no matter what weapon you're using.
Big damage there and big experience for Zilch, and Berserk already acquired. Yeah, he is in a good position here. Just going to take the one egg and immediately back out and start doing some other clearing here. Probably going to do a little bit more looting, but his team is ready to go when he decides to start fighting some more overworld bosses.
And speaking of experience, Starman has gone and experienced, well, is about to experience one of the bosses in the Feymarch, as one is Golbez, the second is a blue robe. Is it the blue robe we like in the form of, actually going straight to Golbez.
I like this play a lot. So he only has 2 party members, so the Shadow Dragon is not going to be a concern whatsoever. It's basically going to bypass that. As long as he gets Star Veils out, all Golbez does here is magic attacks. So, and since, he's got that Heroine Robe, it's going to make him immune to that Paralyze. He's going to be able to get that Star Veil up, and Golbez will essentially just cast himself into oblivion here.
I have one question. Who has the Rosa has the Heroine Robe, and Rosa is in the middle slot. This spot is fast. Okay, it is going to go and get some turns, but it is going to be a little... One of the advantages of having your spot switched is to adjust the relative agility. With Rosa being in the middle, she was always going to be the anchor of relative agility 5, regardless of how fast she is. With Porm, if Porm is in the middle, Rosa would be a higher relative agility, or lower, it's hard. Sorry. Lower relative agility and would get more turns. What I'm considering for this is that if Rosa is in a spot with a lower relative agility, that Star Veil only lasts a certain number of turns. You may go on and see this wear off while we're waiting for Golbez to do all the work himself.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be close, but a lot of big damage going in attack. And gets it. So great job there. Very heads-up knowledge of the game there for Starman, and getting through a fight that some people might just immediately pass by. So that is huge.
Yep. Zilch going straight into this fight is going to be rewarded with...
Not immediately useful, but gosh, if we find a Dragoon or a Paladin, they're going to like that.
Agreed. That is something you're never upset to go and see, because Avenger automatically berserks the character who uses it, which is really good. And the sword itself is not a bad sword, so you just give that to a melee character who can use it, like Kain or Paladin Cecil, and you just let them do damage for a long time.
And we did mention that there are 2 characters that are excluded from the pool, so what wouldn't it be the most Asuka thing ever if it was both Kain and Cecil that were not available here?
It would be fittingly rude, to be entirely honest. Though the scene has not been that rude so far, giving us the Magma Key in a very early spot, not sending us through a hook route with a party of 2 white mages, Edward and a black mage. So maybe Asuka's being a bit nice today.
Give it time.
And Starman is leaving the Feymarsh stunning. Alright, we've done Golbez, we've got an Avenger. We're not going to go and try and take out that Water Hag. We're just moving on here. We're going to instead go to Sylph Cave, so we can walk down to the bottom and speak to Sheila, or speak to Yang, so when we go and return to Pool, speak with Sheila, we will get a key item.
Yeah, and Zilch is taking that alternate approach you mentioned with switching the characters around.
And it looks like Zilch has also berserked his Rosa, and that is helpful because with Rosa berserk, her Star Veil is only to run out because of, again, ATB manipulation and shenanigans.
Yeah, it also is very helpful, as you can see. Okay, Golbez goes down there after the attack. Just because of the way the reflected damage works, getting your own attack in to finish Golbez off is oftentimes required in order to actually finish the fight. And so having Rosa berserk like that means you're checking for the end of the fight after virtually every cast. So very, very smooth fight there.
Yep. So Starman is going and landing outside of Kabul. Is probably going to be going and getting a check done very soon, as we had a Zilch checks. Zilch might go and have some slightly nicer things and have some sirens and some slightly higher levels. But Zilch is going and making more checks and isn't being impeded too much by having not popped a siren. So we'll see if Zilch's early game aggression is going to go and pay dividends, or if it's just going to go and bleed time to Starman.
Yeah, and Zilch has not exited out, which indicates to me that he's going to make a go on this Water Hag. Now, Water Hag normally considered a free fight, but it is very punchy here, and it has to get 3 punches off. There are only 2 characters, so the math not in your side here, but we do have that Moon Veil. We'll see if he goes for a strategy like that, or he might be hoping that the punches don't one-shot his characters. Let's see what happens here.
He threw the Protecting on Rosa, so he might be relying on just being able to tank some damage from the back row. Porum not able to tank damage from the back row. Rosa getting one hit off.
Ooh, just too much damage.
Yeah, Rosa's not going to be able to survive that. You can burn that Star Bell. You might be able to get through this if you illusion, hit, re-illusion, hit, illusion. Oh, Rosa does have Blink at this point, so she might be able to get through it, but it will be a bit slow.
Yeah, because just based on how often that water hag seems to be attacking, I don't think one blink is going to be able to do it. It's going to have to be at least 2 blinks to get through. Starman getting the pass here from the Dr. Luggage here at the Fabul Gauntlet. And I guess we'll be going right up to Sheila's Tower and checking that as well.
Yep, and Water Hag going and punching for a bit less this time. A lot less, half the damage on both the characters, but Porum not even get her attack off, but does get the Moon Veil off, is going to go and burn that to check that character. Or get this key item check.
Yeah, the nice thing is with the save right there, if it ends up not being something useful, you can just reset out and get your Moon Veil back.
And Starman did go and do that Sheila 1 check, but I did miss what it was. Our tracker, Fork Lemon, caught it. I'd appreciate if they could mention that. And while we're speaking of our tracker and restreamer, let's give a shout out to Asuka424 for restreaming and Euphoric Lemon for being our tracker today.
Yeah, major shout outs to the team behind the scenes. We've been had so many volunteers stepping up to the plate to help out with the Lali-Ho League and getting so many of these matches rebroadcast, and cannot do it without them. So big thanks to them. Just a ribbon. So Zilch, yeah, looks like Zilch is going to reset. Does not want to trade a Moon Veil for a ribbon. Don't blame him there.
Yeah, with Gold Pass off the table already, definitely not. It seems very expensive. That Moon Veil can go and let you get through another fight. That Water Hag is in an incredibly high physical attack spot, actually. That Leviathan spot has some of the physical highest attack power in the game. Meanwhile, Starman is finding Bahamut in the second boss of Baron N. Not going to be a real issue with only level 20 compared to Zilch, who's in the mid-20s, but going to go down nice and easily to that Rosa with a Heron Robe and Elven Bow and Samurai and Charm Arrows, I believe, because they did not go and hit the Dwarf Castle Shop for the Samurai Arrows.
Yeah, Rosa's just going to pelt Bahamut with arrows here. Bahamut's just going to be... I'm counting here, guys! Guys, stop it, I'm counting!
He wasn't counting on all this damage, apparently.
You guys aren't any fun. That's my Bahamut impression. I probably need some work. Baron Key, that's interesting. That's going to keep things above ground here for a bit. That is a nice place to check.
It does have 2 bosses that you haven't gone and you haven't seen yet, so could be tempting to look for your Paladin there. It is a character check, so maybe your Fusoya is there as well. And meanwhile, Zilch is going to that Fabul to check up and is going to get their pass and is going to get the item that they received from Sheila 1. And Starman is going into the Baron item shop. Going to go and check to see if there's anything good here. The Baron weapon shop.
Nothing too fantastic there.
But just going straight into Baron, definitely an aggressive play. I mean, you have a character who's reasonably leveled. You've taken out the Asura spot, so you're above level for what you expect, but you still only have 2 characters. Or, excuse me, 3 now, because you picked up the first Palom.
Yeah, this has been a very unorthodox party setup. Just have these 2 white mages, but being able to get them that power boost early on, it's really kind of goes to show how much utility they really can bring to a party, that they're able to go this deep with just the 2 of them.
Yeah, and that Heroine Robe definitely doing work for both runners who found their Heroine Robe in different locations. So I'm wondering if they're thinking they each have an edge that they need to go and push, not knowing that the other has found the item that's very precious Heroine Robe in different locations.
Yeah, and that's really been key to what's kept this race so even, is them both finding Heroine Robes in different locations. We've really... This has been a kind of textbook seed on how useful that heroine robe can be, and the fact that both runners were able to grab it is fantastic for keeping this as close as it has been.
Yeah, and just showing they're not going out of their way for characters. I mean, yes, Starman is pushing Baron Castle now, but we really do appreciate just the fact that we haven't picked up that Edward. Starman has picked up that Palom, but they are down for the moment, not really able to do much until they get some levels.
A little bit of CC there on one of those dark imps is that charm got procced from the arrows.
Then they get unprocced, and Horum unfortunately trying to go and cast Twin with her brother, only to lose that. Well,
yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Starman is going to bring Palom back up to get the experience from this fight. Was that a little miss? No, okay, it did go down.
And to confirm that Sheila 1 had the pink tail, once we find the hook, that is objective number 3 complete for our runners.
Yeah, not to mention a dip into the big equipment pool there. You get not the adamant armor for the pink tail in this particular flag set. Adamant armor, a little too powerful for competitive play. But you do get a randomized high tier item, and depending on what you pull or what characters you have, that could be really big.
Yeah, that is it can be a very game-changing item to go and pick up. Though, at this point, I think the items that we would be able to use, Stardust Rod is probably the best one, because the big items for the white mages increase their white magic, which isn't necessarily doing, or at least the white magic that really uses stats isn't doing much at this point.
Yeah, that was my thought. Stardust Rod would be a really big pull for that Palom. Artemis Bow would not be a terrible thing to pull either, since we're relying so much on archery for damage. I think either of those would be great if that hook shows up sometime relatively soon.
Yep, and Tagchrist in chat pointing out that Stardust Rod is only tier 6, so it's actually excluded from that pink tail pool. Artemis Bow is still tier 7, which is very big.
Let's get a Stardust Rod +1. That's a thing that exists, right?
Unfortunately, we don't go and work by D&D rules.
Oh, darn. Stardustier Rod.
Stardustaga Rod?
Yeah, there we go. No, we don't even go one tier up. It's Stardustara.
Rosa
making great use of that comet, able to pierce through reflect status of Cindy there and do damage to the entire party. Want to keep relatively even damage on those Magus Sisters, because if Cindy is kept alive, she can revive her sisters. But gosh, the damage going out here is getting really dicey here for Starman, and yeah, going to take a reset there.
Yeah, that Rosa went and berserked herself for the first turn to go and just start taking down those Magus Sisters. But the Magus Sisters were quick and took her out before she could start swinging. And that just set off a horrible cascade for Starman, and that led to that reset.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe we've seen Mute Arrow take advantage of that Mage type in the Magus Sisters.
We don't have Mute Arrows, but we have the Elven Bow. That will go and do it.
That's very true.
Elven Bow, usually it is the arrows that go and dictate what type is being exploited, with the charm arrows hitting giants, lightning arrows going and hitting machine types and doing lightning damage. But Elven Bow is the only bow that goes and allows the bow to grant any arrow that mage type exploiting weakness, which is very helpful. Oh, and Starman's throwing a couple coffins, just deciding, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to take the time it took the first time. We're doing this faster the second time.
Yeah, don't blame Starman whatsoever for that.
And we see Zilch coming back underground and deciding, hi, eggs, please come and join us again. We wish to go and exploit your experience some more.
Yeah, and this is great because Zilch does not know what is waiting on the throne. But if he is indeed going for eggs to get Quake on the Quake Kid, Quake is going to be phenomenal against the Magus Sisters.
Yeah, and there is not quite the experience you need. Is 36,000, I believe, you need for the Quake. Sorry. My brain decided I wanted to go into this lightning vacation.
Yeah, it was just a level or two shy of Quake, which might be granted from the Dark Imps fight. So still might have Quake for Magus Sisters, which would be a huge boon for him.
Yeah, just getting that Quake is going to go and be a big boost. And just getting some extra health on Palom and Virus is going to go and do a lot of work too.
but he might be going for Dwarf Castle instead.
Interesting.
This is a good play. I like this. There is actually a decent amount of experience from these fights, and if he feels like he's got the power, this is going to be a key item check, and a character. And of course, we're still looking for Fusoya for that objective. So yeah, I really like this play from Zilch here.
I think Zilch is going to be able to exploit a couple weaknesses here with the Elven Bow. I believe Mylan of the Element phase. Mylan phase of the Elements is still weak to arrows, and Rubicant, unlike his vanilla version, is a mage type in this fight and will take bonus damage from that samurai, the Elven Bow.
Oh, Starman is in a fantastic place right here. He's got Cindy down. There goes Mindy. He is through. No experience for the twins, but I think he's going to take that with pleasure getting through there. And there's an Edge. Haven't seen much of him lately.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Edge has the distinct advantage of being able to steal items, which can be big. That you can go and steal Sirens, which we can buy. We can steal Bacchus Wines, which I don't know if we have found yet. And you can steal a couple other unique items. And you can go and buy Drain Spears from shops and throw them, which have some very high attack power.
Yeah, Edge has been a little bit on the nerfed side in this tournament because of that new flag we've got in, the Neki flag, where characters start out naked with a random low-tier item for their weapon. This hurts Edge probably the most of any of the characters in the cast, just because he starts off with some really, really good equipment normally in his body and head slot, which he is not going to have access to here. That's Adamant, though. That is one half of the Excalibur, so that could potentially be part of what we need to hit go mode.
That is definitely a nice thing to find for that Baron Castle check. You know that it's definitely making you good progress forward. And we're going to see who is in the Baron basement. Well, Zilch finding the other Blue Robe in Dwarf Castle second boss slot. Yes, it is the Gauntlet. 5 random encounters gone and just picked from the local area for you to go and chew through at your own leisure. And by leisure, I mean as fast as you possibly can, because 5 fights is still more than one fight, and it's going to take a bit of time.
Yeah, the good news is Quake Kid is indeed online, and no better spell in the mid game for taking out multiple target fights than Quake. So should be able to mow through this relatively fast. Starman, seeing Mom Bomb on the basement throne in Baron Castle, says, "No, thank you. That's just way too much HP for me to want to deal with. Let's try Ordeals instead."
And Ordeals is a good spot. Normally it's one of those places you'd probably avoid if you don't have Cecilachella, but there are 3 bosses to be fought here, and you have 3 chances to find Paladin.
Yeah, always good to keep in mind that we've got that boss hunt on the table as well. If we get Paladin out of the way, that's an objective on the board. We only have to complete 4 of those. So getting that discovered and out of the way can affect your routing later in the game. Do have a full moon there for Edge, so he's going to get back row glitched and have a decent pair of weapons, those 2 long swords. That strength ring from the start as well is going to go well on him. So he's not as terribly equipped as he might be ordinarily. So not a bad setup here for Edge.
Amusingly enough, Edge came with the boomerang, so he actually came back row glitch.
Was the boomerang in the correct hand?
Boomerang,
I believe it has to be right hand to get him glitched.
The Edge comes only with a right hand weapon.
Okay. Then yeah, he is good to go.
Meanwhile, we find Valvalis, and normally Valvalis is kind of rude, except 1, you have Edge, who is going to do a bunch of damage, and 2, Rose's aim is actually a very helpful skill, as it... I just realized, Rose's aim is a very helpful skill, except when she's in the center slot, because it sets her accuracy to the maximum value of 225. The center slot goes and gives you a 20% accuracy bonus, which overflows the aim to less than 100.
Yep, but taking advantage of the fact that Dart always has 100% accuracy and just ending that fight with a quick toss and going to run into another elemental theme here on Mount Ordeals. It is Cagnazzo.
We found the elements already at first spot of Dwarf Castle. We found Mylon Z in the Baron Inn. We found 2 elements on the top of ordeals, they are not hiding today. They are out in full force and want to try and stop this party.
Yeah, we're just missing some gas and some leg, and then we got the whole assortment.
But Zilch has gotten through that. All Gauntlet is probably much more muddy for it, and their newly minted Yang is also probably reasonably muddy for it. Well, Kinazo is now going down on the backdeck spot for Starman. We're going to go and see competing key item spots in just a few seconds apart. Nice to see this interesting divergence between the runners.
Ooh, that's the party rock.
And we can see exactly how much Zilch wants to go and get even more treasure, because that also opens up the Toria treasury.
Yeah, this is one of those interesting things where if I'm Starman, I'm beelining towards that treasury. But if I'm Zilch, I might not be. Because that edge is kind of making the difference here. Edge would make that treasury so much more appealing. Chance of pulling some of those high tier katanas, but since there really isn't anybody in Zilch's party right now that would benefit nearly as much from some of the equipment in there. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, he is going to go check it. Okay.
Yeah, it is tier 6 loot. Maybe you're hoping to go and pull some... I mean, you don't have much equipment for Yang, and you would like him to not be completely naked, I'm assuming. Like to go and get him some armor so that he can get some level defense. Maybe get an extra cat claw to replace the ones you sold. But meanwhile, Starman got the Darkness Crystal from Ordeals. That is a very big pickup, as that opens up the moon.
Another Moonveil, Glass Helm, Power Robe. It's all right out of 10.
Yeah, the Power Shirt, the two Leviathan Orbs are amusing if you have a lot of money, or want a lot of money, but there are a few pieces. The Glass Set, I think, gets a extra special mention because it is very helpful for just letting someone tank a bunch of physical attack.
Yeah, giving Rosa the Heroine Robe and the Glass Helm is a pretty hilarious way to turn an ordinarily frail white mage into a pretty decent tank. So depending on what kind of bosses we run into, that is a strategy that can be on the table. Power Robe, Yang is going to love that just because of the way his damage calculation works. Yang gets more of a benefit from strength than most of the rest of the cast, so he really, really likes that Power Robe. I'd probably say, outside of the Adamant Armor, it's his best chest slot equip. So yeah, decent pulls there.
Yep, definitely some decent stuff. Starman going into Dwarf Castle, going to go and discover those sirens available. Might go and take a little detour, but does not have the Artemis arrows that Zilch has. So it might be a bit less inclined to spend a fair amount of time on them. And meanwhile, Zilch is climbing Zot. There are 2 character checks here, which makes that Objective 5 pretty tantalizing.
Yeah, when you're looking for a character and you've got the Earth Crystal in hand, you would have to be in a very specific routing circumstance, not want to rush Zot immediately and take advantage of those 2 characters. Plus, you get a key item on top of it, which could lead to something else. So not surprised by this play at all.
Yeah, we are still looking for a hook to be able to turn into Pink Tail to complete objective number 3. We're looking for a Legend Sword to complete objective number 2. We're looking for a Twin Harp to complete objective number 1. Then we have Power Key, Luca Key, Package can all block bosses that we haven't found yet. And Hook can also block 2 bosses, but we want that for a different objective as well.
Man, boy, Plague, I know you feel nice there, Plague, but this is a team that has been relying on arrows for most of its damage, so you're not going to feel nice much longer, buddy. 2.3k damage being dealt by Rosa there with those arrows. Of course, being a flying enemy, taking extra damage from arrows. If Fire Emblem has taught us anything, that is the case.
Yeah, that air elemental damage going and just wrecking the flying creatures, and Plague is Pox in our house is no longer. But 1 Lunar Sparkle off the table, not the one we were looking for, but 4 more chances at the Lunar Sparkles. There is a Rydia here, and we see the blue robe that Zilch has already fought.
Well, now that treasury is looking a little bit better because we did pull 2 Leviathan orbs out of there. Rydia being able to cast Leviathan is going to be great in both the mid game and going into the end game. Not a fantastic character bringing you Zeromus because of her HP growth, but still, that's a lot of. Oh, and there's Fusoya. That's an objective complete and a major addition to the party.
I think we're going to see that Rydia stay, but not for the reason you were suggesting. I think we're going to see that Rydia stay at 30 HP and level 1.
Yeah, that immediately changing my tune on Rydia as soon as that Fusoya pops out. Oh, wow. Zilch doesn't even want Rydia as an anchor, just wants that mop.
Going and checking to see what spells Fusoya has Quake, has Weak, has Fire 3 and Lit 3, but no Nuke yet. And almost no healing spells, but I don't think you're going to be too worried about that.
Yeah, that's something that's going to be changing rapidly. Zilch still has not been up ordeals, if I recall correctly, so he still has some bosses to get there that power up Fusoya.
True, and very likely to want to go up there, as we still haven't found Paladin, but Zilch at the 37-minute mark does get the first objective onto the board with objective number 5, though Starman may not be too far behind.
Oh, there's Paladin! Whoa, Zod is loaded. It is party rock indeed.
Okay, excuse me. It may not be mandatory. There could be 2 other copies of Fusoya somewhere in the seed, because we have not seen any duplicates yet, to my knowledge.
Now all we need is for this to give the hook, and
if this,
that would complete things here.
If this gives the hook lets you turn the rat tail for a twin harp, then this just gets silly.
My fingers are crossed. I want to see that so badly.
And Zilch's Artemis arrows showing their force once again, and objective number 4 is on the board for Zilch at the 38-minute mark.
So they're starting to roll in here.
This is... Oh. Never has the seed said more strongly, you must go to Zot.
And most importantly, Rosa has exit now.
True.
That's a package. That's a little less exciting.
Could have a D-Mist who has the hook, but we are a bit more narrow on the options of that.
Yeah, with Pale Dim out of the picture at this point, that package is going to be a very, very low priority. With and Fusoya as well. That package could have been a lot more exciting when we both had the boss and character hunt in play. Now that they're both taken care of, that's just basically going to bump the key item total up and not do much else.
Yeah, that's that package is probably going to be just sitting there waiting to be delivered for a very long time. But
did have a question in chat. Can a player get information if the other one know or get something he didn't find yet? No, both of the runners are playing completely blind and independent of the other. They're actually both on a 15-minute stream delay. So even if there were, that's going to prevent any kind of thing happening there from being able to look at them. They are going based on purely their own knowledge of what they've uncovered in the seed.
Yes, we want to go and part of the challenge of these seeds is going and looking at the places that are available and making your own judgment calls of where it seems to be the most efficient place to go next. And Zilch heading into Baron Castle is probably going to have an easier time than Starman did and will be rewarded with an adamant. But they may be tempted to go down to that basement altar and take on that Mom Bomb.
Yeah, I would like to see that play. Mom Bomb's kind of a scary fight, a lot of damage going out there, but we've got 2 white mages, we've got Fusoya, damage is starting to scale up here, and can lead to a very interesting key item pool. There are a lot of key items left in that pool that can lead to an objective. So yeah, I'd really like to see that play.
Yeah, if that Baron Throne is a hook, that is a very big pickup. And Fusoya showing off that, yes, he is also a big pickup. Quake going and taking out those Dark Imps that took Starman a little bit of time, not too much, but cost him 2 coffins to go far deep down the hole with Fusoya just taking the reins of this fight.
Yeah, you can start to see now we've had some pretty major divergence from our runners, but we're starting to see how that divergence is going to pay off, specifically for Zilch here. Not going to have the same amount of trouble that Starman did when he came through Baron Castle.
Yeah, Zilch is definitely picking up steam. He is going and pretty much just this Magus Sisters fight behind Starman, where Starman is Zot behind for Zilch. Though I do believe Zilch has not checked the Waterfall or the Mist Cave for the boss, while I know Starman did at least check the Waterfall Cave.
And for those up-and-coming runners of Free Enterprise, you will notice that Zilch has actually rearranged his spells on his spell list. That is something you can do from the magic menu. It's something I often forget to do and ends up mismenuing a lot. But definitely a good habit to pick up. Those spells that you know you're going to be using frequently, like Quake, and eventually Nuke when you get it unlocked. Put them at the top of your spell list. That way you don't have to scroll down. Saves a lot of time. Saves a lot of mismenuing. Really, like I said, really good habits to develop.
Yep. Zilch getting offered that edge. We'll see if he decides to take him and is choosing to get rid of the Porum. So Porum is leaving. Is unfortunately facing the inventory boss, as you have a limited number of slots in here and you can't go and take everything you want sometimes, so you have to go and pick and choose.
Yeah, I don't blame him for making that swap whatsoever. Like we said, I do love Porum, especially in the early and mid game, but when you've already got Rosie here, Rosie's going to scale into the end game way better than Porum can, and you really don't need two white mages on your team. It can be helpful if you don't have access to, say, Bacchus wines for berserking. If you're going to be relying on berserk strats, having two white mages can help put those out there. But since we've got Fusoya and we've got Palom, we're going to have a lot of magic damage as well. We're not expressly relying on berserk strats. Then yeah, taking Edge instead is definitely, I think, the good call there.
Agreed. And if you feel so inclined, you could go and just flip Fusoya over to your white mage and keep that heroin robe on Rosa. Let her be a berserker for the final fight.
Oh yeah, that's something I've definitely done before. It's a lot of fun. The one thing you got to worry about Fusoya being your dedicated white mage is his limited MP pool. As long as you have someone available to throw an elixir or an ether 2 on him during the fight, you should be okay. But he, other than that, perfectly serviceable as your healer in this fight.
And Zilch going and equipping and rearranging and giving that Edge some nice equipment and leaving Baron Castle, choosing not to... Oh, going back down, probably misclicked and meant to go into Baron Castle, and is going to be checking out that Odin throne. We will see if they choose to fight that Mom Bomb, while Starman is going and facing off with Plague, berserking up their Rosa, and is looking to just throw something with their Edge, it seems, or just going to attack.
And you answer a question from Apex Corvid in chat. Back row Edge needs a ranged item in his right hand. Yeah, that's correct. We mentioned that back row glitch before. On Edge specifically, it looks at his right hand to make that call. So if you have a ranged weapon in his left hand and unequip it, that does not set the glitch properly. Similarly, if you are doing the back row glitch using a bow and arrow, it specifically has to be the arrow in the dominant hand and in the non-dominant hand. That's what sets the glitch up. If you do it the reverse, that won't set it up.
That's actually incorrect about the bows. The bows, you just get a damage penalty for going in, flipping the hands. It's if you don't go and put the bow in the offhand, the arrows in the main hand, you only do 80% attack power, but you still get the long range glitch.
Oh, then don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's actually good to know.
Every single time I play Final Fantasy IV, it's bow, main weapon, arrows, off weapon, right? No, that's if you've ever actually fired a bow, you would realize that is not how you fire a bow.
That's very true.
And Zilch is going through this Mom fight, and Odin is a rather punchy spot, but Rosa's got some pretty good armor.
Yeah, Mom Bomb is going to come with an extra pile of HP, along with the normal HP at the spot as it goes into its preparing to explode phase. So that makes this a little bit nasty, because this is a pretty high HP spot here. I believe it's one in the range of 25,000.
I think it's 18,000. Because Odin is... You don't have many ways of beating Odin in the vanilla game. There are some interesting ways you can beat him afterward with Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, but in the vanilla game, it's kind of a DPS race, so I don't think they put it too high.
Yeah, right you are. But now, after the explosion, a single quake should be all we need to mop this up. And indeed we do, and we're going to get another key item check here from Zilch.
Soya with a clean sweep there.
Just a power robe. No immediate resets from Zilch, so Zilch might just be taking it. And I don't blame him. That's going to be really great on Edge. We already have the other one for Young, so 2 power robes for your 2 melee fighters, not bad at all.
There are definitely worse things to find, but not a great use of time. So we know that Starman, if they choose not to come back here, is not missing out too much. They can go and safely choose other ventures, as they are now, having picked up their Fusoya, completed objective number 5, and very quickly going to be completing objective number 4, though not quite as quickly as Zilch, as Zilch had those Artemis arrows, which unfortunately Starman does not, but Starman's Fusoya has nuke, which Zilch does not. Right. Starman is actually ahead at this point, because I forgot that Zilch has not done ordeals yet. So Starman's only meaningful skip is that Mom Bomb fight that Zilch has just completed.
Yeah, that's really interesting. We're going to see soon here if Starman goes after Mom Bomb or goes back underground and starts taking out bosses there, or goes to the moon. We've had that darkness crystal in Starman's inventory here for a bit, and haven't done anything with it yet. Might be getting to the point where we're starting to feel a little confident enough in the team to start diving the moon.
Yeah, they do have that Water Hag in Feymarch that Zilch has done that they haven't, and they have the Mom Bomb that they haven't. Otherwise, there are very few spots on Earth, except I think only Top of Tower has been left undone by both their runners.
I think so. Yeah, I think that is the only thing accessible right now.
And that package, but the package is vastly less interesting when you already have Fusoya, your character objective, and Peldim, your boss objective, as you mentioned earlier. So I think we're going to see Starman go. Starman's going to Mysidia. I believe we're going to see Starman do a grind on the moon of the 3 Warlocks, because I saw 5 meatballs in their inventory that they specifically moved up while Peldim was crumbling away.
Yeah, that's one of your, honestly, several options for grinding on the moon. There are a lot of encounters that can be manipulated in certain ways to make them very doable at lower levels than you might ordinarily be expected to do them, and can result in some really massive experience for your team. So yeah, heading to the moon, get some levels, do some moon fights, possibly get what you need for the rest of the seed.
And they're pretty secure in their knowledge that they only need 2 key items to get to go mode. They need a Twin Harp, and they need 2 of the 3 of Twin Harp, Hook, and Legend Sword. Which there is a little bit of a rudeness to it, because both Hook and Twin Harp can lead to other key items in the form of Twin Harp just directly giving a key item, and Hook letting you turn in the Rat Tail. If you find one of those first, is a much harder question: is do you stay on the moon? Do you save to come back to try and finish that? I think.
Yeah, I would be of the opinion here that if I find the Hook, I at least save scum out to check the Rat Tail. Keep a save on the moon just in case you want to jump back there. If I find the Harp, I might keep looking on the moon. I'm not sure. What would be your play here?
It would depend on how far into the moon I am. If it was the first check, it would be really, really tricky to decide, because I would have to go off how far behind I'm feeling. If I'm feeling behind, I want to save scum and check that Rat Tail. Worst case, though, would be that Rat Tail turns into a Luca key or a Tower key, because then you want to check that while you're still on Earth.
Right, you are, yeah. And I think that is kind of the major deciding factor there, is how behind do you feel at all. Both these runners got early heroine robes, so they both might feel they've got a bit of an edge, while the other might have struggled a little bit at the beginning. But we really didn't see either runner struggle much at all. Starman took a wipe in Barren Castle, but outside of that, things have gone remarkably smoothly for them.
Yeah, and Zilch has taken 2 fights that took a little bit of time. That Water Hag took a few wipes from Zilch and didn't really reward him greatly for it, just was a ribbon that he reset out of, while Mom Bomb, you have a power shirt, nice to have, but isn't going to go and be the big thing that gets you moving forward. And Starman is going and summoning those 3 Warlocks and using those Mute Bells. And zerking up their Rosa to go and just start tearing them to shreds.
Yeah, one of the wonderful things about this Warlock fight and using Mute Bells specifically is the way the queuing works in this game. You can do another popular grind here is the Gold Dragons, which you would normally use an Hourglass to stop them. But if they've queued up an attack, they still get that attack off even before, as long as they've queued it before your Hourglass went off. With the Warlocks, the Mute takes place immediately. So they go to try to cast Mute set, they don't cast anything, and you don't have to worry whatsoever. So it makes it a safer grind option.
Yes, and the advantage is that both Mute and Mute Bells are the same delay, so if you have a White Mage you can get to Relative Agility 1, you can do this even without the specific items. It is a personal thing I enjoy about this.
And now it's Zilch's turn to turn in the Darkness Crystal. That's probably a better way to phrase that sentence, but we're going with that. Going to get the Big Whale and head to the moon as well. So both of our runners now lunar bound.
Both of them going and abandoning top of tower. Easy to go and see why. It is one lone check that you have to go pretty far out of your way for. The spot has a reasonable amount of HP for not being exceedingly difficult, but probably longer than the runners want to spend.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of cheeky keyless tower plays in previous tournaments. In this particular instance here, when you've got so many key items that are necessary to hit go mode, doing a keyless tower and getting a key item that you need isn't going to feel as meaningful as just the wealth of potential key item locations that are available on the moon. So yeah, doesn't surprise me that they're going to both be headed here.
Yeah, I'm curious if we're going to go and have a little switch of the roles where Zilch for a lot of the seed was the higher level one, while Starman was making do with the lower level party. But Starman is going and doing a fair bit of grinding, and only doing 2 fights, leaving 3 Sirens and 3 Meat Bells, potentially for getting 10 key items and grinding later.
Yeah, I like this play by Starman here. Just getting enough XP to feel comfortable rather than doing your entire grind right now, because these fights themselves are going to give a lot of experience on their own. So, if you feel comfortable enough to go into the fight, do it. Get the experience from the fight, get the key items that you need so that the rest of the fights are going to give even more experience. And you might not even need the rest of your grind as long as you're just going through the seed as you should be. So, yeah, I really like this.
Yep, and Zilch going and checking the Lunar Shop, finding Bacchus Wines, buying 4 of them, and moving along to the Lunar Palace. So we'll see where they go from there. They might also need to do some grinding because they are in the low to mid 30s.
Yeah, neither runner seems to be going very berserker heavy, but still having those Bacchus Wines is a major quality of life and just action economy increase.
Yeah, and I'm curious, Zilch, unlike Starman, does not have a dedicated anchor. Starman has that level 1 Rydia who they are very diligently keeping dead to prevent any growth, while Zilch is happily gone and leveled all their characters. Maybe they'll take this Porum and use them as an anchor.
Yeah, I'm thinking that might be what happens here. Nope, not at all. Just going with their current party. Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. But they must feel pretty confident. I'm a little surprised that we have a vanilla D-Lunars, but not all things have to change.
Asuka, is this even randomized?
It looks like Starman is going to go and use the very much so not standard or vanilla playthrough strats of beating up the Lunar Dragons, and instead going to go and wait out the Lunar Dragons and see if they can reflect back that breath attack that comes out. Because chat, did you know that the Lunar Dragons do something other than reflect virus? I didn't until I played Free Enterprise.
Yeah, this is one of those fantastic strategies that's just sort of emerged out of necessity, just because of the way the randomizer plays. But yep, there goes the breath, and get one of the dragons here.
Got the front one, which is a little unfortunate because that one's going to try and breath in. You still have to contend with the back one. But you can shoot the front Lunar Dragon. It will try and put up the wall, and then it's going to go and not succeed. So the other one's going to cast Virus on its friend for a while.
Yeah, so now you're safe to sort of get the rest of your party up and deal with this a little more normally.
And Zilch also just running straight down to the bottom lunar core, not gaining any levels, just going to go and take their party as they are.
Yeah, and this is, of course, because Zilch has done a little bit more grinding, was able to take advantage of those Artemis arrows to get some eggs dead and get some levels earlier, so doesn't feel the need to do the grinding now. Just going to do the fights and let that be the experience that he needs to sort of push through the rest of the moon.
And taking off the Charm Claw from Yang, but not having a replacement for it, does feel a little awful, just because the downside to the Charm Claw is that all the other claws give 30 accuracy. The Charm Claw doesn't, but it does give 3 agility. I'm surprised that Zilch doesn't even value that agility on Yang.
And a little bit of a high five from the runners as they go into the D-Lunar fight at the same time here. Let's see, we do have those Artemis arrows still, and the D-Lunars are indeed Dragon type, so Rose is going to be able to take advantage of that, and yeah, real big damage there.
Yep, Rosa. D-Lunars are the Undead and Dragon type. They are, surprisingly enough, not weak to Holy, which is something that you will notice if you try and hit them with an Excalibur versus a Crystal Sword. Crystal Sword always does more damage, but not to the scale that it does with this fight. That is because the Excalibur is only holy damage, while the Crystal Sword is holy damage and exploits undead weakness.
Wouldn't be Final Fantasy IV if we didn't have very convoluted typing.
Mm-hmm.
Edge getting in some dark damage there. Anything that isn't the fight commands, because we don't want to trigger that alternate AI phase. Doing a little bit of damage, but Rose is still doing the lion's share here.
Though Jeebus in chat pointing out that Zilch is contending with the center slot Rosa, losing some damage because she is overflowing her accuracy.
Yeah, right you are. Yeah, we mentioned that before, but you do have to deal with that problem that since AIM is setting your accuracy to max, and then the center slot is adding on to it, going higher than it should be, you're not going to be doing as much damage as she would be in other slots.
And Starman is down, but to answer a question from chat, if not holy, how come you can heal D-Lunar to death? A property of the zombie-type enemies is that they go and take reverse damage from being undead. And Starman finds a tower key and a spoon, bringing them up to 10 key items. Starman not even saving... Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was... I think Starman thought they were in the same spot, almost clicked on it. Wait a minute. So,
I was going to praise their boldness, but now I'm going to go and praise their very good sense. That fight did not go very quickly, so it is.
Hey, this is
very
resting
good.
music. This is boss music. What's going on?
This is neither soothing nor relaxing. What kind of vacation spot is this? Meanwhile, Zilch is going and just jerking up his Rosa at this point. His Rosa has done a lot of damage, taking out the front one, gotten through this fight a bit faster than Starman has. Is not going to go and get through the full team, though. Zilch had their full team for most of the fight until the very end, and now it looks like we're likely to just see Edge, Rosa, and Fusoya all get the experience.
And there's our 5th of our 6 Fiend fights. Just missing a leg at this point.
The Elemental Fiend of Earth deciding, no, I'm not living up to that today. We're going to go and stay here and hope that no one finds me.
Ironic that the Fiend of Earth would be on the moon.
Maybe he's trying to moonlight as a new job.
How fiendish of him.
It is rather ghastly.
I wish his plans were a little more down to earth.
Oh, but maybe his body can't take it. Both runners...
Do you know how many miles on he had to travel to get to... you win. It's over.
I see what you're going for.
Oh, that's wrong fight. And no matter how big your stats are in these endgame spots, Lit 1 is still just Lit 1, not a threat, and Starman is through.
Starman and Zilch is making progress, but is still a little bit behind. Starman did get through that D-Learners fight a bit faster, but the gold apple, unfortunately, not what you were looking for.
Yeah, not even worth sitting through the fanfare. Starman immediately resets and is heading over to the Masamune altar to find who has replaced Ogopogo. And we haven't seen Ogopogo yet, so maybe we got a little bit of vanilla left here.
Yeah, maybe we have Vanilla. Maybe we have a special guest like Evil Wall. Also, I do appreciate that chat is carrying on the banner where we have decided to resign.
They've picked it up and are dashing to the finish line. Appreciate the chat. Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, we discovered that this Ogopogo fight is not going to be the alpha fight we were hoping for. It's the officer-soldier fight.
Yeah, this is a relatively free fight. Very, very easy to deal with. Doesn't even have the boss bit, so all we got to do is do something that does instant death. Stone works just fine, and that fight is quickly over with.
You could go and do a bit of a grind here if you have a little bit of time. Only if a Helmet summon, which Starman I think is going to be disinclined to keep. Yep, resetting out.
Yeah, that would have been nice to see a little earlier in the seed, but I think we're past the point where anyone would consider using Rydia as a serious damage dealer. She is very much on this team for anchoring purposes.
Yeah. And Starman going and choosing to rearrange their spells now, as you mentioned. Very good to go and have those spells set up in a situation, in a formation where you can go and quickly just switch between them. Warping back and just going to head to that Wyvern spot now, while Zilch is just cleaning up that Myland fight, is pretty much one fight behind Starman at this point.
Yeah, this has ended up being a super close race, despite all of the divergences we've seen between the runners. Really cool heads-up play there by Starman is choosing to do the rearranging of the spells while he was already going into the menu to use the warp spell. So just a very small micro optimization there. And there's Big Octopus.
Moon is being rather... Oh, okay, actually, I'm not going to call this nice. This spot has very high physical attack power, and it's going to go and just beat the living stuffing out of you for a bit until you take off some of those tentacles. Wyvern also has one of the highest physical attack powers in the game.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very rude. It'll become much more manageable the more attacks they're able to get out, since that is going to be reducing Octomam's speed for every tentacle that goes down. And then hopefully things can stabilize a bit, but getting to that part can be very difficult. Very wisely putting out those blink spells that's going to help with all that physical damage going out. It's definitely manageable, but it's not going to be fun.
Yeah, and meanwhile we see on Zilch's side, he is going and using a coffin on the officer and throwing a life push on them. The officer does have the vast majority of the health for this fight, so that is also the majority of the experience. Also,
yeah, some heads-up play there by Zilch. Good knowledge of the mechanics there. If you're doing this fight anyway, you might as well take advantage of the experience it offers, especially since I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, 10 key items. So double experience from this fight, and getting double experience from the largest part of the experience is going to be big for him.
Yeah, and Rosa getting up to life 2, that is a very solid level for Rosa. And getting that Bahamut summon was probably going to keep it because Zilch does need the experience more than Starman does.
Yeah, right you are. Going to take the little bit of extra time to keep the experience. I think that's absolutely the right play there.
And to answer a question from chat, pass doesn't count as a key item, right? You are correct. When the flags for the pass were split, where it can be acquired one of 3 different ways if it is turned on. First way is to be purchased from a shop. The second way is to be found in a key item location. And the third is to be found in one of 3 random chests on the overworld or underworld, not on the moon. There really isn't a way to go and set the pass, so it's only a key item when you find it in a key item spot.
There's a Luca key. That is an interesting find. Not immediately tempting, just because it's just another check to be made. Starman going to take the exit, probably going to clear out this moon before going anywhere else.
We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised. You found 2 chains back to Earth. Neither of them are the chain that goes and gives you a key item, or gives you an objective with that hooker twin harp. We also don't have the pan, but choosing to go back in, I am not unsurprised. I also wouldn't be unsurprised if they chose to go back to Earth, clear out that tower for 2 key item checks, and check Luca Cave for a marginally quicker key item check compared to this first spot. We could be in a root situation where it's just a chain of, say, Twin Harp to Hook to Legend Swords. You have to find one, and that'll be the chain that leads to the other 3.
Right, yeah, there's always that chance we've got that nasty situation where there really isn't any decision to be made. There is only one correct answer, which can still happen with the way the chains work, but we will see. We're running out of moon locations. Just this and the Value Cave are left.
And we do have the wild card of the Demist around, and it is not here in the lunar subterrane. It's on the moon. It's in Cave Bahamut.
Leviathan, not a very scary fight here. Only going to be using those Ice 2s, which aren't going to be doing a ton of damage in this spot, so shouldn't be too much of a problem here for Starman.
No, I expect that is going to go and be a very trivial fight for them. And
speaking of trivial, Zilch is really cleaning up this Octoman. Very, very clean fight. No problems whatsoever.
Yep, just gets through it, and is going to be resetting out, and might be just picking up a little bit of time here and there on Starman. Gets the Luca key, and we'll see if Zilch comes back into the lunar subterrane to check this Leviathan, or if Zilch decides that they're done and they're going to follow these key items they found.
Yeah, this is going to be a very pivotal moment here. If this is going to be a speed competition or a routing competition, let's see what Zilch decides.
Or we could be both, because we could have Demist in a, shall we say, incredibly stupid location like Giant, and you just go on location. But Zilch is choosing to go back in and is going to be getting into this Leviathan fight. Definitely don't disagree with this play, because one key item, this key item is probably about as fast as checking Luca, and checking this spot is faster than doing all of Tower, which you want to do if you go back there.
Yeah, we are at a minute 10, so the pressure is starting to mount a little bit. We're starting to get to that critical moment when seeds are potentially able to get finished. So that's going to be weighing on our runners' minds. Just a Dragoon Lance from there. Starman's going to reset out again, and all we have got left is Cave Bahamut here.
Yeah, and we'll see if Starman chooses to go there. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because yeah, you can go and see the boss, and if it's something that's just incredibly awful, like Wyvern? Wyvern is probably Wyvern or Evil Wall are the 2 worst bosses left, I think.
And our tracker Plumeria Knight brings up a very valid point. Starman's reset out of quite a bit of experience. The big experience spot on the moon is definitely that D-Lunar fight, but still, there's the other spots aren't terrible for experience, and Plumeria Knight opting for speed over character growth, and we'll see if, because Zilch has not been doing those resets, we'll see if that ends up becoming a factor.
Yeah, that's Starman got about 300,000 experience from the Warlock fights, and Zilch has probably made that at least that up, just not resetting out of the experience. So that could also go and decide some things, because Zilch is looking to be at the point where they're not necessarily going to need to reset.
Antline at Bahamut is never fun.
Antline on the moon is never fun.
Yeah, just in general. This could be a particularly tough fight. Let's see how Starman decides to deal with it. Immediately blinking up. Good play there. Edge is going down. That is a one-shot.
I imagine Starman would have been much happier if that punch landed 1 slot lower and hit Rydia instead.
Even an anchor is good for absorbing 1 blow.
Or as we're seeing with blinks, blinks are good for absorbing multiple.
Yes, they are. Still, you're going to want to make sure you can get Rydia on the floor before the fight ends. Last thing you want to do is getting a ton of levels on your anchor here.
Agreed. And Rydia goes down very quickly, being a kind mercy to Starman after taking out Edge. Though I am curious as to what Starman's going to focus on for his offense. Is he just going to go and throw whites with... I mean, Rosa's still got the heroin robe. That white is going to be diminished damage. Looking to go and be berserking Edge and using him to do the damage.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a risky strat because, of course, every one of those attacks is going to trigger a counterattack. And those can be pretty nasty. He's getting pretty lucky so far.
Yeah, this is a low magic power spot, so that could go and just simply keep things down and make it not so awful to do physical attacks. But Zilch's left linear subterranean has kept that experience, and I do believe that at this point Zilch has the experience lead. So whatever he's lost in going and not resetting, he's gained in catching up in grind. So that Edge, unfortunately, is continuously taking those counter hits from Edge and Rosa attacking.
Yeah, one more, and he is going to be back on the ground. You're going to want, if you're Starman, you're going to be hoping that those counters are going to get spread out a little bit more than they have been. We have done a significant amount of damage. We should be getting a little bit close here.
Yep, Zilch going and seeing its Antlion and is going back in. Edge, unfortunately, goes down again. And to answer your question from chat, what is Antlion's counter magic based? It is based on their magic stat. Their normal attacks are based on physical, but the counter is in fact a spell.
And there goes Antlion. Well played there by Starman. Missing out on a little bit of experience for Edge, but not a enormously high value experience spot here, so I'm sure he's not too concerned about that.
Oh, and this report.
That's big.
That is one objective away from Gomed for Starman, and it's going to be the same for Zilch. That means that our final objective is either one of our final objectives is behind a chain from the moon.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty fascinating here. Both of our runners are going to be in parity as far as objectives, complete key items grabbed here. It's going to be a matter of what they decide to chase from the moon here when they get back to Earth. How they decide to route it. This is going to be very, very close.
Yes, actually, I am standing corrected. We could still have one of our key item, one of our final objectives gate the other, such as the harp gate the hook or the hook gate the harp.
Yeah, very good point. Yes.
So it could still be keyless tower that has one that leads to the other, or it could go and be from one of these moon chains. We will see where Starman goes from here. Or it could still be Demas at CPU trolling us all.
That is still hanging in the shadows as a potential here.
Or Demas at package, which would really hurt these runners. No one has checked package in general.
Yeah, package was picked up after Fu and the Pale Dim were found, so there wasn't a ton of incentive to do any checking on it.
And Zilch has got Antlion down, is going to go and get their Legend Sword, and Starman is heading into Sealed Cave to check the Luca key.
Yeah, this is interesting because this is only one key item check as opposed to the two you would get in Tower. There is, of course, the boss check down here, which could be Demas, that could lead to something. But very interesting that Starman would choose this over going to the Tower. I suppose he might be looking for a speed here. If it's not anything he's looking for, he can just reset out. But yeah, still very interesting choice here.
Yeah, that's my thought. Because you can see the key item first, I assume Starman wants that so they can determine should they be focusing their efforts here or should they be going and checking a different location. Because you can get that information much more quickly than you can get that for Tower.
Yeah, right, you are.
You have so few spots left, leaving one. I mean, Tower, going up there, you only need one item, but there's two checks in Tower. So if you go and clear both of them for the higher percentage of getting what you need, but it's here,
Did Starman just save over his main save?
No, he saved over one of his earliest saves.
Was it early? Okay. I didn't see the cursor move on the menu, so okay, good to know.
Yes, he went and saved over a Porum Rosa file, so...
That's a hook. I think you got to walk out with that.
That is your go mode if you can walk out with it. Or yes, that's your go mode. And I don't think we can have any awful... Oh, actually, no, we can have Wyvern here, which would be awful for Zilch, who does not have a anchor. It's Ogopogo. Not as bad, but still rude.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do direct magic damage to Ogopogo because of those nasty counters. Mostly going to be relying on Edge for damage. You do have some high-powered healing here to get through those big waves, so... This is a nasty position for Ogopogo, but you've got the strength right now to get through it.
Yeah, the punches here aren't going to be too bad compared to what you've dealt with on the moon, so you're going to be more than set for that. The big waves are going to be annoying, but it's got low enough HP that you should be able to rush through it, and Zilch is not going to... Zilch is going to the tower. Zilch needs this tower to give them a Twin Harp, which is bad because that Twin Harp is much slower than turning in a Pink Tail.
Yeah, this could be the deciding factor right here. This decision to go to tower, just because we know Hook is in Luca Cave. Yeah, there's really no way this can turn out to be an optimal play over Luca Cave.
Yeah, Zilch unfortunately was just behind in checks because he's did the Water Hag and the Mom Bomb in Baron Basement. So, losing time here, Zilch does the full tower. I'm hoping that Zilch just does half tower and leaves. Even then, that is a bit unfortunate, and we can still be in a situation where the Hook and Rat Tail turn in gives the Twin Harp.
Yeah, right you are. This is this is going to be some important series of key item checks here for Zilch, because this could be the end of the race for him if things do not fall the way he needs them to.
Yeah, Starman just needs to do turn-ins. Starman's functionally in go mode. We'll see. Do they take any levels? Do they do any grinding before they go back? They have a pass, so it's not like there's a walk to go and be a difference between them. And Zilch is going to the top of the tower and is doing both of them. This is the efficiency play, and is getting Demus, which will give more key items, but none of them are going to be as fast as this Hook and Luca
yeah,
Cave.
the good news about this Demist for Zilch is that that's another key item check. That's another chance to pull the Harp out, which is the only thing at this point that can honestly keep him in the race.
Yeah, Zilch really needs the Harp to come from this fight directly, or maybe the Tower Key. But if it comes much later than that, this is going to be a real hard sell for Zilch to go and pull something out, because Starman just has to go and, again, walk around to some different locations, maybe do a bit of grinding.
And speaking of which, he's going right over to that Peninsula of Power to do just that. Pop some more Sirens, get that double experience from the eggs, get the HP values he needs to feel comfortable to fight Zeromus here.
Yes, and to go and explain something to chat, the runners only need to do 4 of the 5 objectives in order to go and get the crystal to be able to go to Zeromus. That pass is a very quick trip to Zeromus, and the Darkness Crystal is an additional way should they choose to go there. Starman is getting levels because he functionally has both Objectives 2 and Objectives 3 complete, with needing to forge the Adamant and the Legend Sword with Ashkakol's Forge, and needing to turn in the Pink Tail at the Adamant Grotto by Silvera.
So if you're in Starman's position here, Baka, and you've got this team set up, what level do you feel comfortable grinding to? What part do you feel like, okay, it's time to go with the team members you've got?
I think Starman was close to white, so that's why he went up to that point. He got white on... Actually, I think he just got white on Rosa. He's still 3 levels shy on Porum. It might be faster to be able to go and do double Zerk, Rosa, and Edge, and heal with Fasoya if you have some Ethers, but it may be safer to just simply take Porum all the way up to white and do Reflect Kill that way, with Edge throwing potions and walls. Might give Zilch some time to come back, as Zilch has now just taken down Demus.
Oof.
Starman, just an apple. Zilch is probably going to be doing the Tower Room to get that cutscene. Starman is going and getting Sirens, and will be continuing on that way. If Zilch can go and get the Twin Harp from here... If Zilch doesn't get the This is hard because if Zilch doesn't get the Twin Harp here, he has to walk all the way through Luca Cave and do that Ogopogo fight, which will take time. If he gets the Twin Harp, he has to go to Toria, fly to Cave Magnus, walk through Cave Magnus, do the cutscenes there, and then get their Go mode. It is very hard to say which one would be faster, to walk through Luca Cave and do the Ogopogo fight, or to go and get the Twin Harp directly.
Yeah, this is so nail biting right now. The advantage here for Zilch is he has a stronger party than Starman did when they started their grind. So, every egg that Starman is fighting here is a little bit of a chance for Zilch to stay in this, but those key items have got to turn up in his favor quickly. He's got to get his hands on that harp, or he's got to motor down Luca Cave.
Yeah, that is Starman. Dio pointing out in chat that resetting out of that Kaito Soldiers fight and from the Ogopolder altar is hurting Starman. He was able to go and get through more fights without having to heal, but he's now needing to catch up on that experience here. He also doesn't have the Artemis arrows that Zilch found very early on, which allowed Zilch to do these grind fights a fair bit faster.
Yeah, he's taken 2 turns to take out that dragon as opposed to the 1, which may not seem like much, but you got to go through that animation of the egg transforming and everything. The time adds up, and it's just looking like such a ridiculously close race that things like that could start to matter.
And Starman is going down to Cole's shop and is going to be forging now. I didn't catch if they got weight on Porum, but this is looking like they're in go mode.
And this is a very important key item here for Zilch. Oh, it's just a Masamune. I mean, Edge likes that, but gosh, we need a harp.
Zilch is going to Demist. That can be the harp, or Zilch is going to go and... If Zilch doesn't go and get if Zilch doesn't go and get Twin Harp here, the worst item here to get is Pan, because that would go and give him 2 checks that takes a while to go and do.
It's a Sand Ruby. That is not the harp.
The chain is Luca Key to Hook to Rat Tail for either Harp or Pan. And then the one leads to the other.
Yeah, there was only one path the whole time. Oh, that is heartbreaking.
Which means that you were required to go up to the moon, find the Luca Key, which was on the Crystal Sword altar, if I'm not mistaken, come back to the Earth, and do that. And you had to go and do Tower of Zot as well. You were never going to go and do the Cave Magnus objective.
Yeah, there is no ambiguity left. This is all in Starman's court. It's his race to lose. Just has to get up there, pull off a clean Zeromus fight, and he will be taking his second win if he can manage to keep things together.
Yep, we still have the Zeromus fight. There is room for...
Wow! No Cecil to use it, but that's still big.
That is... How many of our 10 characters did we see? We saw 1 duplicate Porum, so we haven't seen 2 dupe. We didn't see the Hook character, the Package character, or the Sand Ruby character, and then there's also the Giant character?
Correct, yeah. So we talked early, that early Avenger, and how great it would be if neither of the knights showed up, and what do you know?
Apparently, Rosa is going defending the honor of Baron because the knights are on vacation.
Sometimes the queen has to step up and do it.
That is definitely true, and we see Starman going and getting themselves prepared, going and equipping their Porum with wizard robes, going and throwing a lunar staff, giving Rosa a life staff, going to be getting prepared while Zilch is heading straight down. Oh, going and giving a heroine robe to the Rosa. I am kind of surprised because that heroine robe does go and reduce their casting stats, but it does have high magic evade, so may go and still be something they want to keep for that magic defense and magic evade. But there is Starman going, using the pass, heading to the secret passage to Zeromus, and we are getting some little flags in chat, Snape.
Yeah, they're the flags for the Zeromus fight. How do you not know this, Baka? How long have you been commentating?
Long enough to remember when there was a Z flag that is no longer existent.
Yeah, the fact that it's a flag has kind of lost that bit of meaning, hasn't it?
True, because originally it was an option to go and make it so that Zeromus was not vanilla. Now the default is Zeromus is not going to be appearing in his usual form. He is, well, let's just say we see him a bit too much. So we have 525 different sprites that Zeromus can be. Smapey, would you like to do the honors of asking the question?
Whose butt are we going to kick this evening?
Oh, 526, because there's a special one recently added for a certain someone's birthday. It was Scott's birthday, and it's a great sprite.
It's a very cute sprite. It's got a magical newspaper and everything.
But we see Zilch going and getting the hook after wiping to Ogopogo because they had not rested. Losing more time. They need a wipe from Starman here to have a prayer, unfortunately, as Starman is throwing the crystal with Rydia, using a Moon Veil with Vasoya, and is going to be getting ready to do those reflex strats.
Yeah, and a wipe always on the table. Zeromus is a very brutal fight. It is never free, and well, no one's free like Gaston this.
I am going to regret this dearly, but let's just say, actually, no, let's not go there. That is going to not what I want to say. Gaston can go and sing songs about himself. I will not. But a counter nuke on Porum, only hitting for 800. That is definitely nice to see. He had some good magic evasion there because those nukes can go and hit for several thousand. You can hit up to 2,000.
No one nukes like Gaston. No one rebukes like Gaston. No one throws berserk strats through a loop like Gaston.
Chat, please clap for Smapey. That was great.
That's the most I could come off the top of my head. I ran out of rhyming words.
You started better than I did.
Please clap.
It's only please clap if I'm asking for applause for myself. I'm asking applause for someone who deserves it. It's not that.
There's our Big Bang. This one should be nerfed with the setup that Starman has put up. Rydia is going to eat Stardust. The rest of the team should be just fine.
Yep, Edge is still up there. I don't know if Starman has Cure 3s for Edge to throw, but might need to go and do a bit of healing while Zilch is going and warping out of the cave, is going to be getting to the point where they can turn in their pink tail, but they also need to launch the hovercraft because I don't believe they have gone and checked that either.
Yep, just adding on to the extra time that Zilch has to invest here.
And Starman is going and just getting those reflected whites out and reflected nukes out. That is, whites are the suboptimal spell, not because they do less damage than nuke, though nuke is a very, very powerful spell and is a bit more powerful than white, but white takes longer to cast. So that can go and throw some of these Z-fights for a loop. If Starman hasn't lowered their battle speed, you see a shake, so Zeromus is getting close to throwing another big bang. Porum's not going to survive it. Rose is looking pretty unlikely to survive it as well. Vasoya has... Ooh, we are not going to go and... Rosa and Porum are probably going down. Vasoya is going to go and get her freaking nuke out.
That is a... Oh, wow. This is getting very, very troubling now.
We're going to probably see a black hole, and then...
Oh, we're not! That's it!
Starman!
That was the last nuke! Pulling it off there! with what very well could have been the very last action Starman could have gotten, just enough to put him over the threshold for the HP skip, and Starman has taken this match, moving him on to 2-0 in the tournament. What a finish.
GG Starman with an hour 30, 27 minute. Very, very speedy clear, considering that they only skipped the Baron Throne fight and the Leviathan fight in Feymarch. They did pretty much everything else in this seed that you were going to do. And I believe we're now joined by Starman. GG Starman.
Hello, thank you.
Okay, I know you've had 15 minutes to sort of rest since then, but how big was your pulse beating on that last Big Bang there?
Pretty big. I also realized I was watching for like a good chunk of the last 15 minutes. I had pulled up the Twin Harp sign, but we're gonna get some talk back, so we might want to mute me anyway.
Fair enough.
So
yeah, kind of a rough start there with the characters, but you kind of got up to speed very quickly there with character power. Kind of walk us through that beginning and what your sort of approach was.
Well, what I was looking for, I noticed we had bonk rods, well, staffs at the start, and I was thinking, okay, all I really need is pull like maybe a good bow or heroin robe out box, and I did over at, the public treasury in Troya. From there, I was just going like, okay, I don't need to open up any more boxes until I get underground. And just went from there.
that is... What is fascinating about the scene is you and Zilch both pulled different heroin robes as well. Did you think that your heroin robe was an advantage, or did you expect Zilch to have one as well?
I did not know. Because I don't know what... No, where'd he get a mouse moon? Okay, whatever.
Zilch has done literally everything except for Zilch's last location progress, because we have determined that the rat tail gives either the pan or the twin harp. And that is because there is no other place for the pan or the twin harp to be, because Zilch did it.
Yeah, he pulled that Masamune from the tower key.
Yeah.
Amazing. What else? I looked at that Golbez and went, wait, I have a heroin robe on my Rosa. I have only 2 characters, and this has a high magic spot. So I threw up that Star Veil and just let Golbez take care of himself.
We noticed that you reset out of most of the fights on the moon, which kind of put you at a little bit of an experience disadvantage. It ended up, being able to make up for it with the eggs. Was that ever at the back of your mind, just worrying that you might not have the experience that you needed, or what was kind of
a little bit, because I was like, wait, I'm 2 age short. Damn it, should like save like the Ogopogo spot or the Pale Dim spot. Oh well.
Yeah, you were very aggressively resetting out. What was the main thing driving that reset? Did you
Because I had limited tents and limited MP on Fu. So
I've been there, so I understand that fully.
Very important, very good thing to go and see. And yes, that was you had the experience lead. You actually had a couple fights lead going into the moon and the experience lead, but Zilch left to the moon, still down the fights, but with an experience lead at that point, because he did keep all the experience, which made for some very interesting divergence between the two of you.
So I'm guessing he took down the Baron, the Mom Bomb on Basement Throne and Water Hag?
Correct. He took down the Water Hag in his first trip to Feymarch using a moon veil he found in Ebelin Castle. He anchored with Porum, used the Heroin Robe Rosa to throw up the moon veil with their first action, and then attacked 3 times with Rosa after Porum served the valiant purpose of getting hit first.
Excellent work, Porum.
She's great at that job.
Can we take about that board face AI on the Mega Sisters?
Yeah, that was rough. That was kind of the only real big rough reset patch that you kind of ran into. It was Zilch was going into that fight with Quake, but you had much more limited options. Were you ever feeling about backing out, or did you feel you could take it from the get-go?
I could take it as long as Rosa did not get hit there. Well, she got hit twice because thank you, Mega Sisters.
Yeah, you that was quite rude for you. But you also chose, when you got to the Tower of Zot, you chose to give up your Porum to take Bosoya and Rydia. Did you, even after looting that treasure, did you have any illusions of using Rydia for anything other than Anchor?
Not at all. That Rydia's sole job was to die.
She did her job well. Well, this is going to put you at 2-0 for the tournament, undefeated going into round 3. What's kind of your thoughts going into that 2-0 bracket? Are there any big names you've seen in there that you're particularly excited to be facing, worried about? What's kind of your general approach?
I expect every week to be difficult, and I also expect my, just to sit there and go like, all right, this is the week where I just get gently deposited into the trash by whoever I'm facing. So we'll see.
You've certainly put up a strong showing against Zilch. Zilch is no slouch of an opponent, so you've gone through some good opponents so far. Got good shots at continuing to do well going forward.
Thank you. Anything else you want to know?
Just if you have any final thoughts or anything else you want to say.
I will say this: I expected food to survive at the end there, and I expected that nuke to kill.
Were you counting damage, or were you just going by feel?
A little bit of both.
Well, you felt it out right. So GG's for that very nice win.
And thank you for having me on voice. I'll catch y'all later.
Take care, Starman. Congratulations, and thanks for being broadcast and being in with us. We really appreciate it, and can't wait to see you next week.
See ya.
That was Starman, our winner of tonight's race, going up to 2-0 in the Swiss round, moving into week 3. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, this is a very rough. This is a rough group to go through. Zilch is definitely not a slouch of an opponent, so GG's to him. And while Zilch is going and polishing off Gastonmas, I would like to go and give another thank you to our restreamer Osco424, our tracker Plumerian Knight, who I named incorrectly previously, and a thank you to you, Smapey, for joining me on commentary.
Always a pleasure to be here with you, Buck. I'm happy to be here this evening.
And to you, chat, thank you for joining us. We are always happy to have people come out. If you are new, haven't seen what Free Enterprise is, this is our spring tournament, the Lali-Ho League, where we're going and going through 6 rounds of Swiss, I believe, before we're going to go and do a cut to brackets. And if you'd like to see more, check out the links in chat, as Zilch is not going to be seeing much more of Zeromus, as we have rocks on his side. That is the side that we are down to the last 12,000 HP.
Yep, this should be the last cast of Meteo here before we get to the end. Rosa taking advantage of that huge magic defense and just stepping gleefully out of the way of the rocks. Young punching away. My stream is hitching, and there he goes. GG's to Zilch, finishing at 139.05, just behind Starman here, and taking Zeromus down. I believe we're joined by Zilch. Zilch, GG's on your finish here.
Thank you.
So that was an incredibly tight race. It came down to just a couple of routing decisions at the end. What was sort of your approach, going through making the decisions that you ended up making?
I kind of figured I would just skip the tower because
there is
room to do everything else.
No Cecil
and then
but that's still big.
Once I finished the moon, the main option there was do I go and just ignore the top of the tower or just do everything?
How many of our 10 characters?
And I figured I still needed 2 items, I think, at that point. So I figured I may as well just do the top of the tower and do everything as I went. I figured there was a good chance one of the items I needed would be behind the other, but there was only like 1 or 2 locations left at that point. And as you go through the seed and you look at your tracker and you realize there's like only one line ever visible, it's like, well, I guess I've lost unless the other person did exactly what I did, because it was everything. But you still try and hope for the best.
Yeah, your opponent did end up skipping the Water Hag, the Mom Bomb at Baron Throne, and chose to go directly to Luca Cave rather than going up Tower, which we were really hoping that we were going to go and find a Twin Harp or a Twin Harp from that tower to get back into this, because you ran this very well. It was amusing to start because both you and Starman managed to find different heroine robes.
Yeah, the heroine robe was a great pickup. I was hoping, he didn't get one, but I guess that's what happens. They're all over the place if you look. But yeah, that definitely gave you a great start to the seed with Quorum and Rosa and power staffs. You can pretty much get through the world pretty quickly. The bows helped, and the arty arrows were pretty nice to have in the, just for experience and those few bosses that were there.
Yeah, you both, considering you started with a double white mage team, which is not known for its damage, did carve up that overworld pretty quickly. You did have a fair amount of divergence where you chose to go and clear Fey March on your first trip, while your opponent, Starman, only did the Golbez fight. What pushed you to want to go and do that Water Hag as early as you did?
I didn't want to have to come back to it, and it wasn't going to take that long to do it. I had the Moon Veil, so I figured the first time I went through to just peek to see if it was Gauntlet or Water Hag, I saw Rosa only took like 200 damage from his attack, so I figured I didn't even need the Moon Veil. And then, when you get committed to do the fight, and then you get whacked for 900 damage, you're like, oh, okay, well, would have been nice if you did that the first time. But
yeah, that Water Hag definitely had a rude range.
Yeah, but it's one of those where, I can just one-shot all of Fey March and never come back, so... And it wasn't going to cost me much time to do it now or later, because you still need 3 hits. So I figured I'd just do it and get it out of the way, just in case it was needed.
Yeah, one thing that was very different in your play compared to your opponent was you took the experience from a lot of the fights on the moon instead of resetting out. Were you sort of counting experience in your head and had a certain target you wanted to hit? What was kind of your approach to experience on your party and getting them where they needed to be?
I figured I wasn't going to do any grinding, so I would just keep the experience from the moon fights as I got them, and then go into Z at whatever level I was at. I had more physical fighters, like I had Edge and Yang, so I had Fu also, so I could do some hybrid strats at Z. I didn't really need levels, but I would take whatever I could get just to speed up the Z fight. I figured the time it would speed up there is probably worth the reset time.
Yeah, that ended up being the case. I mean, just casually looking at it, I think if you were to account for the extra time Starman had to do grinding after he hit Go mode, the only really decision that ended up deciding between the two of you was going to Luca Cave versus Tower. So that in itself ended up paying off. So that was really fun to see.
Yeah, I don't generally like resetting out of moon fights if I have like tents or cabins available. Just, like getting the experience. Feels like I'm wasting time if I don't, even though it's actually the opposite. But yeah, play to make myself happy. So,
Well,
even though I know it's the wrong move, I'll do it.
This puts you at 1-1. Have you taken a look at that 1-1 pool? Are there any opponents you're particularly looking forward to playing against, or do you have any approach going into week 3 here?
No approach. Everyone in there is scary. That goes for the 2-0, the 1-1, and the 0-2. So, there's no free wins in this tournament. Everyone's gotten really good, and I took a whole lot of time off. So, every match is going to be tough, but I'm going into this one more just enjoy it. Who cares if I win or lose? Much less stressful.
Definitely a healthy attitude to take.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It's definitely been a blast watching you play today, and especially just how close this match ended up being. You watch this VOD back, I think you'll enjoy it. This was a really close one, start to finish. So thanks so much for putting on a great show for us today.
Thank you, and thanks for the commentary, restreaming, and tracking.
Yep, and thank you for letting us restream your race. It's always great to go and see runners of your caliber. It's glad to have you in this tournament. You're always a joy to watch.
Thank you. You too.
And that was Zilch taking second place today. It's going to be going 1-1 on the tournament and going into round 3. And that is going to do it for us today. But we have still got some more free enterprise here for you. We're going to be sending you over to Soapbox Gamer, who is a newer runner in free enterprise. This is, believe, maybe they're only their 3rd seed ever played. So definitely show them some love. Show them what we've got here for the community. And if you could please don't spoil the events of the race here today, just in case anybody over there wants to check out the VOD on there. We'd appreciate it.
Yes. Don't tell him anything, the results of the race, but feel free to tell him it was a good one. Have a great
Because it
evening.
definitely was.
Agreed.
But yeah, that'll do it for us. For the rest of our restream here team today, for Asuka on the restream, Plumeria Knight on the Nevermind, we've already moved over.